I'm Paulina Leiser, producer of Focus Today. Thank you for watching this video, and make sure to check our other videos at theDove.us.
Hey, welcome back to Focus Today. Delighted to have in the studio one of my favorite people.
Oh, so kind.
Chad McComas is with us. He's a pastor. You are involved in so many inner city ministries. You do the Christian Journal. You do, help me out here.
I just have a lot of fun in life. Rogue Retreat, we do housing for the homeless. We're working on Hope Village, what we're trying to get started.
Those little small homes you see around.
Small, tiny houses. We're getting closer. Not where I want to be. It's getting colder. I wish we were where I wanted to be, but we're not there yet.
But God has called you to an inner city ministry. You really do care for those that have nothing. And that's a calling, isn't it?
And I haven't always, Perry, that's been the Lord working on my heart. You know, the Bible talks a lot about we have to have a heart, God's heart. I haven't always had God's heart. I've had to really, the last 3 or 4 years, just say, Lord, you know, I want your heart. I want to be 100% into this thing.
Yeah.
And the more I read the scriptures, if I got God's heart, I got to care about people who need help.
Well, I don't think you can go anywhere in Southern Oregon, and in particular down in the inner city of Medford, and not bump into something where Chad and his family and his crew and his organization is ministering to people at all levels. And it is a heart of God to go out and talk to people that have nothing and take care of them, and that's your heart, and I really commend you. But in the middle of all this, God says to Chad, run for city council.
Yes.
Now, I was going to call you.
Am I crazy? Yes.
I didn't know if I was going to get you counseling or what. And you need some more sleep?
I sleep very well, Perry.
Yeah, I don't want to make fun of that. But I mean, it is a calling. I mean, at the last day, what happened?
You know, I felt several years ago God saying he was going to give me more influence in the valley. And I just kind of struggled with that. You know, I want to have influence for God in this valley. And I want to speak truth. I don't think we can legislate morality, but I do think we need people in positions of leadership that have God's heart and that will speak God's words. And so as I've noticed city council, there was an opening coming up, and I said, you know, maybe I should do that. And God finally just said, I want you to do this. I want you to be in there. You don't need a big hat or something. That's not why I want to do it. But I want to serve this community. And city council has a pulse, you know, of what's going on in the community. And if we've got people in there that know what's going on, that's important.
All right, so he's involved in Ward 3 campaign for the Medford City Council. You head up Set Free Fellowship, plus all the other things that you do. And if there's anybody, I think you certainly understand the inner city and what's going on and what the city. So, what do you want to do on the council?
Well, as I said earlier, I want to be that voice of reason. Because I'm not going to be influenced by money or interest groups, because I'm not looking for something from them.
Yeah.
And so I want to be able to look at every situation comes along and say, what's the right thing to do here? Maybe not the expedient thing, but what's the right thing to do? What's going to be good for our city in the long run? And I think as believers, you and I, Perry, we see things a little differently than a non-believer might see it.
Right. Well, I think we're looking for that kind of leadership. Do you see any concerns? I mean, in addition to that, is there any particular concern within the city you want to see taken care of?
Well, definitely because of my interest in homelessness, the city is facing a huge crisis in homelessness, and it is
getting bigger. Why? What's the deal here?
Well, the whole country is.
Yeah.
I mean, look at Portland. They recently said that they needed 24,000 living units to solve the homeless problem up there. That's a lot of people. And we have the same issues here. We have at least 1,500 to 2,000 homeless people on the streets, and it's growing every day. We have the highest concentration of homeless vets than anywhere in the nation, right here in the Rogue Valley. It's because of the DOM, and the DOM does a great work, but it's the largest facility like that in the United States. So more people come here for treatment at that DOM, and then when they leave, they stay. And most of them have no place to go.
So what do we do? What's the city do? What can the city do?
We have to find ways to house people. Because when you house people, it's cheaper for the community than to leave them on the streets. That's been proven time and time again. So if we can get people in houses. Did you know right now in the city of Medford, there are 400 empty homes?
No.
Empty. And they're empty because they've gone through some kind of foreclosure, or people have abandoned them. And the city is right now currently trying to find ways to tighten up their laws so they can take over abandoned properties. Then their intention is to turn them over to nonprofits to turn them back into housing for people who need housing.
That'd be wonderful.
Yeah, it needs to happen.
All right, part of your passion has been this small home thing, and maybe you've driven around and you've seen the little house on a trailer. It's been parked at various places,
Yes.
and people have been spending the night there as an
It's fun.
example of what's going on. What's the goal there?
We're trying to raise enough money to build the first Hope Village. We're working, excuse me, closely with the city, and they have been really trying to find a piece of property that would work for us. They now have a spot over near their Medford City Center Services facility off of Columbus and McAndrews that they're going to give us, we think, if it gets voted here in the next few weeks. It's not going to do a lot. It's going to be a prototype, maybe prove a concept, 10 homes, maybe 15 at the most, get some people off the streets. But we think if we can get them off the streets, we can then start putting their lives back together. And it's proven. We've done it well at Rogue Retreat.
For the most part, it's a shelter. Okay, so what about the other facilities that would be required to go with that restroom facility?
It'll all be there.
It is?
Yes.
So there would be a common place for that?
Yes, we would have a gathering place. We'd have a kitchen they can borrow to use together, restroom facilities, all of that. So they can be self-contained. It'd be like a gated community, Perry. You know, go on the east side of Medford, you got gated communities. It'll be a little gated community. Nobody can go there except the ones that live there. So it's not going to be a hangout. It's not going to be like the Gospel Mission or St. Vincent's, which does wonderful services, but people hang out there. This place won't be a hangout.
All right, so you want to bring this to the council, and I did not know there were 400 abandoned homes or empty homes in the Medford area. Overall, do you think the city is being managed well?
I think they're doing their very best. You know,
Okay.
I don't want to criticize the city at all. I think they're good people trying to make tough decisions. You know, and there's some guys going off of council. I think they're tired. So that's one of the spots I'm trying to fill in.
Okay.
But I don't have any criticism for them. I think we can always do a better job.
Right. And then you got a mayoral race going on, so the difference between two different leaders could be a significant
Could be.
impact, you know.
I know that Mayor Wheeler, he takes his job very seriously. I mean, these are all volunteers. You got to
Yeah.
remember that. They don't get paid.
Right. Yeah, and it's a lot of time.
It is.
All right, so let's talk about quickly, the few minutes we have left. You have Set Free Fellowship. That is a church, and that's in the inner city there at your
We're in
facility.
West Main.
Yeah.
We're across the street from Probation and the Addiction Recovery Center. So we're right in the middle of all the excitement.
So are you surprised God changed your heart to do this kind of work?
I am. You know, I used to pastor on the east side of Medford, and through this, about 20 years ago, through a chain of events, God just kind of pulled me out of that and stuck me in West Medford. And I'm thinking, oh my goodness, at that point, I remember having a dream about serving people on the streets. I was freaked out. You know, I don't know how to talk to anybody on the streets, and what if they're going to stab me in the back alley or something? You know, my concept of people on the streets was probably a typical person's concept. And God just began to show me they're people, they're not problems.
You know, the other thing about this is so simple, and I mean that. This is where really life is all about. You know, here we are wrapped up in this political nonsense and all the things that are going with it, and we're shocked at this
Are we
election
shocked?
cycle.
Yeah, we are.
You know, but it does come down to taking care of those that have nothing. You know, and I don't know. I mean, it really puts things into perspective fast, doesn't it?
It really does. I mean, that's what we're here for. You know, when God gives you and I resources, He expects us to share them. Remember the early church? It says when they all got together, they shared everything with people.
Right.
That's the part as a pastor I've skipped over so many times. I mean, I like the part where they read the apostles' teaching every day, and they shared food, and they worshiped every day. But we forget that one little line that they shared
Everything.
everything, and nobody had any needs.
Yeah. And I think that's an important part. Whatever you've been
Preach
blessed
that
with.
in a church today and see what happens.
Pardon me?
Preach that in a typical church today and see what happens.
Well, but think about it. Whatever God's blessed you with in an abundance, that is to be shared. Some people it's finances, some people it's talent, some people it's lumber, some people it's vegetables. I mean, you
Whatever
know.
He's given us, we're supposed to share.
Yeah.
And the interesting thing is we can't outgive God.
Yeah. He gives through you.
He keeps giving us more. It's
Yeah.
amazing.
Yeah.
You know, we've been giving out clothes on Fridays to the people that gather at our facility, and a lot of them are homeless or they're working poor. And we give a lot of clothes out. And last week we gave out all these clothes. We said, where are we going to get any more? Thanks, the Nazarene Church had a big sale. And on
Right.
Saturday, one of the guys called and said, hey, you can have all the clothes left over. I took a whole van full. You know, so it's like God just, last week was Nazarene Church. This week will be somebody else. You know,
Right.
God provides if we do His work.
Well, Chad is also running for Ward 3 on the City Council. Wouldn't it be wonderful to have this kind of a servant serving at that capacity as well, with the one thing in mind, and that's to make sure that Medford serves its least fortunate communities.
And all people.
And all people, least
all
fortunate
people.
to all people, all the way down.
Yeah.
How do people get a hold of you if they would need to work with you and learn more about your campaign?
I do have a Facebook page, Chad for City Council. You know, they can look at that, or I'll just give me my cell phone. It's 541-951-6652. They can call me there.
6652?
Yeah.
Okay. Well, anyway, Ward 3, look for that name, Chad McComas, and he's the man. Thank you, buddy.
Thanks,
and
Perry.
thanks for what you do.
God bless.
It's just an amazing thing. By the way, the other thing he does, he runs around town and he hands these out everywhere he goes. And what these are, pocket scriptures, right?
Yep.
You just throw them
They're
on
all
the table.
sealed up. You have no idea what they are till you open it. But
Yeah.
God always gives you the right one.
Gives you the right one. Thank you, buddy.
God bless you.
You too. We'll be right back.